Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat, and Air. Once again with the show You Got This. It's a show of DIY do's and don'ts, and I'm on a squeaky chair. Hopefully the mic's not picking that up too much. Sitting here in our conference room with DeeDee Vieira. She works in the HVAC department, and I've got Rosalie in LA, our show producer and co-host. And we didn't really talk about, a banter or a segue on leading into this. We just recorded our last week's show. Now we're recording this one because I'm going to be in lovely Phoenix next week for a trade show. So, so we're recording 2 shows today.
Are you going to take your bike?
No, because I'm flying in on the show starts on Tuesday. I'm getting there at 10. And I'm leaving. The show ends Friday at like 4, and I'm flying out at like 6 or 7.
Oh, man, you should go down Monday and go for a ride.
I know. Yeah, I'm not gonna bring my bike. I'm literally flying in. I'm not checking anything. I'm carrying a backpack.
A backpack. I know. I've traveled with you.
No carry-on luggage. I'm just going.
He's like,
minimal.
I'm taking a fanny pack. I don't need anything.
That's how I am.
Minimal. Yeah,
that's how I am. People freak out because they'll go like, "Oh, I need to wait for you at baggage claim?" I'm like, "For what? Like anything I need?" But it's a week-long trip. I'm like, "Okay, I know how to pack. I got this. It's a carry-on.
Whatever.
That's it.
Yeah, you don't need much.
A week. Yeah. I'm like, I don't care if you see me in the same clothes the whole time.
This is a good segue. This is a good story. So, my wife and I went to Italy. She's of Italian descent, so we've been trying to go to Italy for years. We saved up a bunch of money, and we actually scheduled it for the pandemic. The pandemic happened, and we couldn't go. And we finally went year before last. And she brought a bag, and I'm like, I'm not checking anything because things get lost. So I got air tags, and I put an air tag in her bag because things get lost. We end up in Italy, and I look at my phone where the air tag is, and her luggage was still in London where we had our layover. And and we were staying in this little boutique hotel in Rome for one night. And the guy and unfortunately we had the air tag on because the guy that was bringing it, we were watching him get closer, and then all of a sudden he stopped because it's Italy. So I'm sure he stopped for his like 4 or 5 hour lunch break or whatever, and coffee. And then it started moving again. And then he was going around and around and around the block. She had to go outside and flag him down because it was like it was a hotel inside of an apartment building, right? Yeah. So it wasn't like a real hotel. It was just like one flat, one floor. And he would never have found us. But those air tags, if you're traveling,
Genius.
Buy those air tags. That was a game changer. But like I refused to check luggage. And I even had like a bike helmet and all kinds of stuff on this one because we did a bike trip and bike shoes. And I didn't
check anything.
I had my little carry-on in my backpack.
I could do it. I could do it.
Wow,
I could go for it. I'd go for a month
with a bike trip.
I could go for a month without checking anything.
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You are. And then the other thing I did was I looked online because I fly them maybe once every 5 years, and I always regret it. But Spirit Airlines has a specific bag size because they have a whole different policy, right? So I actually went online.
They have their own little chairs that have like nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
Yeah.
They're I've flown them once. I will never fly Spirit again. Yeah.
They're their airline for if you hate yourself, you can punish yourself. But I mean, for the rate, right? Like, okay. So I went online and I found a bag that like meets their bizarro specifications. And so the way I approach it is if I'm going anywhere and I can fit it in that Spirit Airline bag that I use for nothing else in Spirit Airline, we're good to go, baby. I can go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then if I know, like if I'm going to a destination where I know I'm going to be, like if I go visit my sister-in-law cross country, like I literally could just put 3 or 4 things into express mail, like, and literally express mail, because that's the only way to do it cheaply. Like 4 or 5 pairs of like leggings or pants or shirts or whatever. Right. And it's so much easier. And like, because it's in a fixed address, she's not going to take my stuff She
Yeah.
doesn't
That's
want
smart.
my stuff.
Yeah.
So, I
That
mean,
is
you just
smart.
have,
Yeah.
well, I got
And laundry.
creative.
Most countries, most places
Exactly.
you go have laundry somewhere, so you can do laundry.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Well,
I mean,
I
my
just,
sister.
you get creative. Sorry, you get creative because, not to be the old lady that's complaining, but so the flight prices went up and that was tough enough. But then it's like, oh, and by the way, it now costs you $300 if you want to bring any luggage. So I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
no, my luggage should be free to come with me. But since we're going to play that game, fine. I don't have any luggage. So that's when I started doing this.
Yeah, even a checked bag is going to cost, or not even a carry-on is going to cost you $40 on some flights,
Yeah.
depending on
Not
where you
me.
sit.
Yeah. So all my sisters are coming out for Thanksgiving this year, which I'm really
Oh, wow.
excited about. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And one of my sisters, I won't
scary.
out you right now, but you know who you are. She checks luggage.
Cheryl.
Even it's not
No, it's not
actually
Cheryl.
no. Even if she goes like for a night, it is like the biggest suitcase. You could fit a Volkswagen Bug in this suitcase. So I'm totally gonna tell her about the AirTag thing because she
Yeah.
checks every time.
Yeah,
So that's
game
total
changer. And
yeah, that's
you get them.
genius.
You can get like a pack of 4 for I think it was like
Oh, yeah.
$100 or something.
Yeah, no, that's
I put them on our bikes. I put them on all kinds of
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Yeah,
Peace
That's
of mind.
yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
I put one on Betty's bike, and then I've got it's my AirTag, so it's
Right.
attached to my phone.
Right.
So she got an alert that someone was following her because people have used them for like
Yeah.
sketchy guys that
Right.
like stalker dudes, like put them on women's cars and things
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
it alerts people if it's not theirs. An AirTag is following you, so every time she's on her bike, she'll get like a little
Oh my
notification,
God.
like
She's probably, oh, it's
yeah,
okay.
one of her many
Classic.
stalkers. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a
That's-
big believer in that and not checking bags if I can get away with it at all. Yeah. So this trip to Phoenix, yeah, I got a backpack. That's it. Little day bag. Yeah. Anyway, what are we looking at? Oh, so our topics today. So once again, we're just going to continue on what we talked about last week. Rosalie got us a list from ChatGPT, one of those AI things, and they gave us this great list on topics for HVAC. So we'll just continue on that. And
Cool.
I'm gonna try to be quiet. Last week I was not able to be quiet, but I'm gonna try this week. We'll see what happens.
It's always good to have goals.
Gosh, I'm a talker, man, and it's hard for me not to say anything. All right, so moving forward here, are there any safety precautions I should take when using space heaters or alternative heating sources in my home? So I'm going to carry this on. So let's talk about not only electric heaters, but kerosene heaters as well.
Yes. So if you're using kerosene heaters, venting is a big deal. Make sure there's no leakage anywhere. For any heater that you're going to plug into an outlet, make sure it goes directly into an outlet, not a heat strip, or not a heat strip, a
Power strip.
Power strip, thank you.
Yeah.
And check the socket and the plug to make sure they're not getting warm. If there's too much draw from your wiring, if you have an older home, that's a big deal. If you are noticing that your breakers are tripping when you're using them, you have too many plugged in, or your house is just an age where the electrical wiring can't handle it, that's important to know, as well as checking your.
I have to say something because this is not HVAC related. This is electrical related. So I'm not taking
Go
your
right
time
ahead.
here. So I can't tell you how many times people say my breaker keeps tripping. What's wrong with the circuit breaker? The circuit breaker is there to save your house from burning up. It's to make sure that there's not an overload. So if it's tripping, there is an issue you need to address. If this happens more than once, there is an issue that should be addressed immediately. Because the only reason we have circuit breakers is to make sure that we don't have a short circuit where hot touches. Electricity is always trying to find its way to ground. That's why we have lightning. It's always trying to find its way to, and it'll take the path of least resistance. And sometimes that's through you, but a lot of times it's just through the wires. It'll trip then, but it'll also trip if there's too many amps going through, which will heat up the wiring and cause a fire. So definitely, if it's if you're pulling too many amps, don't just think it's the heater. Have that thing checked out, because an electric heater is 1,500 watts typically. That's the maximum that you can have. That's about 15 watts, and our 15 amps roughly, and our most outlets are rated for 20 amps. So if it's tripping because of that, there's an issue.
Yeah, and something to remember, especially up here where we're at in the Gold Country, we have a lot of houses from the 1850s that have still knob and tube that people are using in their homes, and that can cause a fire if you're overdraw on that old wiring. Can be a huge issue.
Yeah. And it's cotton. The insulation on that stuff is cotton.
Yeah, and it turns like a weird, funky, plasticky when it gets really
it's
brittle. It's
scary.
awful.
If you still have knob and tube in your house, give us a call.
Yes, please.
It's organic insulation. Mice like organic material. They will literally, I can't tell you how many times I found mice that have arced themselves, have electrocuted themselves from eating insulation on the wiring. So it's gnarly. So yeah, you want to get rid of that stuff. Also, okay, so since we're talking about electrical, so say I'm at B&C or Hills Flat, and I want to buy a heater, and they've got this wall of heaters and everything from like a little cube on up to things that are like 4 feet tall, it seems, or like 10 feet tall. They're huge. Is that bigger one going to give me any more heat than that little itty bitty one?
No, because you're still only at 1,500 watts, period. So there's a lot of marketing going on there, and just save yourself some money and go with whatever's most compact and least expensive, because they're still giving you the same amount of heat.
That's critical. And that's one of the things that most people don't know is we can only, the amperage on these outlets is 20 amps. They're only going to go up to 1,500 watts, just like your hairdryer. That's maximum. They're all 1,500 watts, whether it's a little 6-inch cube or if it's a 10-foot tall wall or radiator or something. It's still only 1,500 watts. Same amount of BTUs, regardless of the size. So really doesn't matter if you get a big one or a small one. So I always get the little ones just because they don't take as much space in my closet when I don't need them.
And just know that, supplemental heat is great, but it's very expensive to use those little heaters. They use a lot of amps consistently, and PG&E loves them.
Yeah.
Because it makes them a lot of money. So
they're incredibly inefficient. They work on resistance. So basically, electricity going through a wire that's too small to carry the amperage resists and heats up, just like if you're trying to pull too many amps through a electrical wire and it heats up. Same principle. It is not very efficient. And yeah, I had a tenant in our cottage, and he was using it, and we paid for all the electricity, and our electricity bill went up like $150, $200 when he was using it. And I had to talk him out of using it because it was, or I would have to start charging him. It was substantial, like compared to using the wall furnace that we had installed. He just thought, well, I'll just use this for my little bedroom heat. Yeah, it's huge. All right. Any safety topics on other alternatives like kerosene or wood stoves?
Wood stoves, I still have wood stove now, but I lived with solely wood stove heating for over 20 years. And, have it swept every year, the chimney, make sure it's clean. Don't burn a bunch of paper in it. Don't burn your garbage in it. Anything that can make creosote is bad. Yep. You really want to get it up to temperature. I'll plug Abercrombie and Company here in Grass Valley, but you can go to any stove store and get a little thermostat that you can actually put on the stovepipe to tell you when you're your optimal burning. Highly recommend that.
Yeah.
And as far as kerosene, I don't have a ton of experience with kerosene, but again, you really want to make sure if there's any funky smell, if you smell any type of fuel substance at all, and making sure it's in safe operating order. If you've had it for years and years and years, I don't know that I would use it,
I don't know if I'd use a kerosene heater, period. I don't even know if you can sell them in California anymore. I think you got to buy them from out of state. One of the things I would also recommend, if you're burning anything, whether it's natural gas, propane, wood, kerosene, make sure your carbon monoxide detector is working, functioning. And I would go so far as to have multiple carbon monoxide detectors. They're cheap insurance. Have them outside of each bedroom and possibly even inside the bedrooms, because anytime you burn anything, you have the potential for carbon monoxide. And as far as wood stove, I cannot tell you how important it is to have that chimney swept. When we first moved up here, I didn't know any better, and we just used wood heat for our house, and I was using those creosote logs.
So
and
bad.
We had a chimney fire and had to call when I was at work and had to call the fire department. And it's scary. So highly recommend having your chimney swept. And also I would recommend, like, people kind of do it themselves. I would recommend hiring somebody to do it.
Rosalie?
I just wanted to let you know, I did a quick search on the Google machine about the kerosene heaters.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So it says, according to the Google machine, it says it's illegal to use them in a residence in the state of California because they remove oxygen from the air. So they are considered illegal, although you can also find them used ones for sale online. So I'm just saying, doesn't mean they're not available.
You can get them in Nevada. You can get a lot of these things in Nevada, like catalytic heaters and things like that we can't install in California. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, California, we got so many stupid regulations and stuff. Yeah, but a lot of times these codes and things are made for a reason. People die because of this stuff. And, you know, for me, if, like, you know, I don't like having lead in my water. I don't like having carbon monoxide in my air. I don't like breathing in byproducts of combustion. Those kerosene heaters don't have any vent. And a lot of the other kind of heaters that you can get across the border don't have any way of, they're not vented to outside. So you're getting all the byproducts of combustion. So that's carbon dioxide, water vapor, but also trace elements from the petroleum or whatever that you're burning. Those are going into the air system. So it's not really great to breathe anyway. And then kerosene, you know, again, this is a petroleum product. So you're getting benzenes and all those other zine things that are just not really cool to be breathing. So yeah, it is a regulation that, you know, we live in any state to a degree, but at the same time, I kind of want to live. So yeah, I kind of buy into it.
Yeah. And I mean, we still have people that were like eating Tide Pods, for God's sake. So, I mean, clearly we have to have regulations for a certain type of people. So just saying.
I've been drinking ditch water forever. I got one guy that works here, and I grew up on ditch water. What are you talking about? It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. Okay, so we kind of beat that one to death, but that was those electric alternative heaters. You know, they can be really dangerous. So please be careful, and they can use a lot of energy. So, use them with caution. How often should I change or clean the filters in my heating system, and what type of filter is best for colder weather?
So as far as changing them, industry standard every 3 months. I am a proponent of every month because I just think it's inexpensive and it's a way to keep your system operating efficiently and safely. There's different types of filters out there. If you do not have one that you're specifically getting through your HVAC contractor, then I would recommend, you know, the cheaper ones at your local hardware store. We happen to sell a system called April Air. It's a HEPA filter. It's generally a once a year filter. We have certain people that have actually gone a year and a half before they have to change it. It's great for pollens and dust particles and things. That's a fantastic way to go. And that can be added to pretty much any furnace system out there. So, that is something I would look at, but really just an inexpensive filter for basics, you're good to go.
Why shouldn't I get one of those 3M expensive $50 HEPA filters and install them in my return air inside my living room?
That is no different than just putting a blanket into your return air. Your system can't breathe. I know that they sell them and everybody thinks, why would they sell them if they're so bad? Because they do. So they can make money. Definitely just get as little resistance as you can filter to get out the main particles to protect your system and let it breathe freely. Stay away from the big 3M stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this because we talk about it a lot on this show, but again, I just can't I can't hold back.
I know, go.
So not only are people put them in to clean the air in their house. Those type of filters that we put in the return air really aren't there to make your air cleaner. They're to make sure to keep the system clean, to cut down on the dust and larger particulate from getting stuck on inside the heat exchanger and then stuck on the coil for air conditioning. When we put in those restrictive type of HEPA filters into our living room or hallway or wherever it happens to be, we're actually restricting the airflow so much that you form a vacuum inside of that return air. And you've got a pipe that goes from wherever that filter is all the way back to the furnace that can be running through the crawl space, running through the attic, running through the walls. We are allowed a certain amount of leakage, even in new installs. But old days when we were installing these, when I got into this, we were allowed whatever amount of leakage. Didn't really matter because no one ever checked it. We're using duct tape. We didn't even use mastic or anything like that. So by restricting the airflow and cleaning the air, if you will, I air quotes right there, you're actually making your air dirtier inside your house because it's pulling air in through all those gaps and all those joints in the pipe that goes from the filter to the furnace, and will pull in fiberglass, rat feces, mice feces, urine, anything that's inside that crawl space, and put it inside your house. So you're actually making the air dirtier by using those. And when you're talking about the April Air, that is a system that we install for a specific purpose, and we install it at the system so we don't have a pipe that leads and has the potential for leakage. So it's actually designed to be in that system. And it's how long are those filters?
So they're rated for a year. I've had people go a year and a half, and I have a couple customers who actually changed them at 6 months because just the environment.
But I was trying to get like the and not long is the wrong word, but the surface area on those things. I mean, when they're pleated, when you pull that thing out, it's like 8 feet long compared to that little 20 by 20 air filter. So this thing is a huge amount of surface area. Yeah. So that's why we can put this thing in there, because we've got so much surface area, it doesn't really impede the airflow like a regular filter is. So, when you're changing the filter, we recommend, and manufacturers recommend, just buy those cheapo $2, $3, $5 filters and change those out every month, as opposed to putting in this $20, $30, $40 more expensive ones, because you're actually not doing yourself any favor by using those.
Correct.
That's our show. So let's talk a little bit about what we got. So speaking of HVAC, we have a $49 HVAC safety inspection tune-up, and it's right in time for that because of the fact that we're in the shoulder season. You're probably just turning your furnace on right now. We're going to make sure that there's no carbon monoxide in the system. We're going to make sure the heat exchanger is intact. We're also going to try to catch any potential problems that may turn into catastrophic issues down the line. So it's a really good idea. And it's only $49. We also have a $49 water heater flush and safety inspection. We have a $49 10-point electrical safety inspection. So if your house is over 20 years old, or if you've done any remodel, highly recommend having an electrician come out. You can actually even just check this online. Most home inspection, I can't remember, but most organizations recommend that you have your electrical system inspected at least every 20 years, if not more often. And if your house is over 20 years old, you should probably have it done yearly because things wear out. We want to make sure everything's working properly. And lastly, we have a $97 residential drain cleaning. So we will clear any residential sewer or water drainage, not culverts or anything like that, for $97. If we can't clear it, or it's free. So we either clear it or we don't. And it's only $97. So give us a call on that. And with that, you can reach us at 530-230-9092. That number again, 530-930-9092. You can also find us on the web at abtplumbing.com. Like our Facebook page. We share all this stuff. You can also like us on Instagram and YouTube. We put these videos up on YouTube so you can see our faces that, well, I know my face really belongs on radio. But anyway, you can see all of our lovely faces online. And
I'm going to jump in.
Yeah.
Shelly Smart Shoppers, where these coupons are right now. Local people, grab this. It's a great coupon book. I use it all the time. But grab those coupons.
All right. Thanks for listening to us, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.